Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Krishna Krishna
Rama
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Rama 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 Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Krishna Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
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 Hare,
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Ram, Ram Hare Hare,
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna, Hare
Ram
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 Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Ram
Hare
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 Hare,
Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Ram,
Ram
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 Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Ram Ram
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare Ram
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 Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna Hare
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 Ram,
Ram Ram
Ram
Ram
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Krishna
Krishna, Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Krishna
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare Hare, Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare,
Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare
जय श्री
Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna Krishna
चैतन्य प्रभु
Hare
नित्यानंद
Ram
श्री
Ram
अद्वैत
Hare
गदाधर
Krishna Hare Krishna
श्रीवासदि
Krishna
गौर
Krishna
भक्त
Hare
वृंदा
Ram Ram
हरे
Hare Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna
कृष्ण कृष्ण
Hare
हरे
Ram
हरे
Hare Ram
राम
Ram
हरे राम राम
Hare
राम हरे
Krishna Hare
हरे
Krishna Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna
कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण
Ram
कृष्ण
Ram
हरे
Ram
हरे
Ram Hare
राम
Hare
हरे
Krishna
हरे
Hare Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna
कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण
Hare
हरे
Ram
हरे
Ram
राम
Ram
हरे
Hare
राम राम
Hare
राम हरे
Krishna
हरे
Krishna
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम
Hare
हरे
Krishna Hare
राम
Krishna
राम
Krishna
राम हरे
Krishna
हरे
Hare
कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण
Ram
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम
Krishna Krishna
राम
Krishna
राम
Hare
हरे हरे
Ram
कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण 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 हरे
Jai Shri
हरे
Krishna
राम हरे
Chaitanya
राम
Prabhu
राम राम हरे
Nityananda
हरे
Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaura
हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे
Hare Krishna Hare
राम
Krishna
राम
Krishna
राम हरे
Krishna
हरे
Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
हरे
Krishna
कृष्ण
Hare
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम राम हरे हरे
Ram Hare
हरे
Hare
कृष्ण हरे
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna
कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna
हरे
Krishna
हरे
Krishna
राम
Hare
हरे
Hare
राम
Ram
राम
Ram
राम
Ram
हरे
Hare
हरे
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna Hare
कृष्ण Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram
Hare Rama,
Ram
Nam
Ram
Nam
Hare
Nam
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Nam
Krishna
Nam
Hare Krishna
Nam
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna
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 Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Hare
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 Rama,
Krishna Hare
Nam
Krishna
Nam
Krishna
Nam
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare Ram
Hare Krishna Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare Krishna
Krishna
Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Ram Hare
Rama,
Ram
Nam
Ram
Nam
Ram
Nam
Hare
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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Ram Hare
Rama,
Ram
Nam
Ram
Nam
Ram Hare
Nam
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna, Krishna
Nam
Krishna,
Nam
Hare
Nam
Hare,
Hare
Ram Hare
Hare
Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Krishna, Hare Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram Ram
Nam
Hare
Nam Nam Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare, Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram Ram
Nam
Hare
Nam
Hare
Nam
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare, Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare Hare,
Nam
Ram
Nam
Hare
Nam
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare, Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Nam
Krishna, Hare
Nam
Krishna,
Nam
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare Ram
Hare Rama,
Ram Ram
Nam
Hare
Nam
Hare
Nam Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare, Ram
Krishna
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
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 Hare Hare Rama, Nam Nam Nam
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare, Ram
Krishna
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare, Ram
Nam
Hare Ram
Nam
Ram
Nam
Ram
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Rama,
Hare Hare,
Nam
Ram
Nam
Hare Ram
Nam
Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
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 Hare Krishna Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
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 Rama,
Krishna,
Nam
Krishna,
Nam
Hare
Hare
Hare, Ram
Hare
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 Ram Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Rama,
Hare
Nam
Hare
Nam
Krishna,
Nam
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram Hare Hare
Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
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 Ram
Rama,
Hare Ram
Nam
Ram
Nam
Ram Hare
Nam
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
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 Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna Krishna,
Nam
Hare
Nam
Hare,
Nam
Ram
Hare
Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare, Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram Ram
Nam
Hare
Nam
Hare
Nam Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Hare
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 Rama,
Krishna, Hare
Nam
Krishna,
Nam
Krishna
Nam
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare Ram
Hare Rama,
Hare
Nam
Hare
Nam Nam
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare, Ram
Hare
Hare Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram
Hare
Hare Ram
Rama,
Ram Ram
Nam
Hare
Nam
Hare
Nam Hare Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare, Ram
Krishna
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare
Krishna
Ram Ram
Rama,
Ram Hare
Nam
Hare
Nam Nam
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Nam
Krishna Krishna,
Nam
Hare
Nam
Hare,
Hare
Ram Hare
Hare
Ram 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 Hare Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare, Ram Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram Hare
Nam
Hare
Nam Nam Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
Rama
Hare
Nam Nam
Hare
Nam Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare Ram
Krishna
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Hare Ram
Nam Nam Nam
Ram
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama Nam
Krishna
Nam
Krishna
Nam
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama
Krishna
Nam
Krishna
Nam
Krishna
Nam
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare Ram
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 Nam
Hare
Nam Nam
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare
Krishna Hare Hare Hare
Krishna
Rama
Hare
Nam
Ram
Nam Nam Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
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 Ram 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 Hare
Hare Rama Nam
Hare
Nam Nam Hare Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama
Krishna
Nam
Krishna
Nam Nam Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Ram
Hare
Hare
Rama
Krishna
Nam
Krishna
Nam
Krishna
Nam Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare Krishna
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Rama Nam 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 Hare Hare
Krishna वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, शीला प्रभुपाद की जय, assembled devotees की जय। Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Please forgive me for interrupting your ecstatic chanting. I would like to read the 10 offenses to the holy name, which are to be avoided, written by Srila Vyasadeva in Padma Purana. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Second, to consider the... One second, just... Okay. Second, to consider the name of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal or to be independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Third, to disobey the order of the spiritual master. Fourth, to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in Vedas as fruitive activity, Karma Kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10. To not to have a complete faith in chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachment even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success of Krishna Prema. Once again, I thank everyone for joining today's Bhakti Sangha conference call. Nina Mataji has a computer error. She told me to finish the 10 offenses. Nina Mataji, are you ready now? Okay.
Yes, Mataji, yes, I can. Devotees, please go ahead and unmute yourself and please, so that I can welcome you all in this platform, please. I'm still trying to continue from my computer. I don't know, it is giving me an error.
No worries, Mataji. We can hear you. You can continue.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Priti Dasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Priti Devi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Mataji. Please keep joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shyama Gauri Devi Dasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shamaguri Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining and hosting this call every day, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet, Mata. Thank you, thank you, thank you for always being there for all the devotees every day consistently, Mataji. Wonderful, glorious services, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for hosting this call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, and all the glories to the assembled devotees. This is Manjri Leela Devi Dasi from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Manjri Leela Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for your wonderful chanting, Mataji, every day. And thank you for joining Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Mata. Please keep joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
All good Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Rana.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances, Mata, at your lotus feet. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Mataji. Please keep giving us your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. This is Yashamati Priya Devi Dasi from Cincinnati.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Mataji. Please keep joining. Do we have Her Grace Tiffany Mataji already with us? Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. If you be so kind to say a brief few words about His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj. He needs no introduction, but it'll be great if you could say a few words about him. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Of course. Dandavat Pranam Mataji. Okay, Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So this morning, we are so fortunate to have with us His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj. Maharaj was born in New Jersey in 1947, and he came in contact with the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in Denver, Colorado, at the age of 24. In 1973, he began practicing Krishna consciousness in New York City, and shortly thereafter began serving at the New Vrindavan Farm Community in West Virginia. That same year, he received initiation from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In 1986, His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj accepted the sannyas order and began preaching in Cincinnati and Columbus, Ohio. In the early 1980s, he became involved with the ISKCON prison ministry in the USA and began visiting prisoners, holding programs in jails, along with regularly writing letters to inmates and sending them Srila Prabhupada's books. This program reached the hearts of prisoners and enabled them to relate more to others and transform them inside and outside. His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj continues to travel and share the ancient Vedic wisdom and offer spiritual guidance to many around Europe, USA, and India. Maharaj has also recently written a book called Krishna's Way, Natural Living. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for the wonderful introduction. Devotees, please feel free to unmute yourself. Please announce your name so I can go ahead and welcome you all in this wonderful platform. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all the devotees. This is Mohini Lakshmi, contact right. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Mataji. Please keep joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. I offer my obeisances to all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Arun Shah from West Bengal.
Hare Krishna, Ayun Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for your wonderful services that you do in Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Prabhu. Please keep joining. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. This is Kiran Goyal from Baltimore. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, and all glories to all the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kiran Mataji, Dandavat Pranam Mata, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Guru Maharaj ki Jai. Thank you so much for joining Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Mataji. Please keep joining and please keep giving us your association. Hare Krishna. We are still waiting for His Holiness to join. So devotees, if you so feel, you can go ahead and announce your name. And yes, indeed, as Tiffany Mataji rightly wrote on the note, it's a wonderful, wonderful, very auspicious day of His divine birth, of appearance day of His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami, Saraswati. Bhakti Siddhanta, yes, Saraswati Thakur. Yes, I don't know why am I getting so confused today with my computer not working.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnavas, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki Jai, Vrinda. After a long time, hear Tiffany Mataji's voice and your voice. Dandavat Pranam to both of you, Seva.
Oh, thank you, Vrinda Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for your wonderful questions on this platform every day, Mataji. Please keep joining. Hare Krishna.
So sweet to hear your voice as well, Mataji. Haven't heard you in a while.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Valli from Naperville, Chicago. Hare Krishna
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, Valli Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining regularly, Mataji, this Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. In ISKCON Naperville, we have already the wonderful celebration today, Mataji. I don't know if you were, the Mangal Aarti was wonderful today, and later during the day, we have a feast program. So please feel free to invite people and join us.
Sure,
Special
Mataji. Hare
Children's Day.
Krishna. Thank
Hare
you for
Krishna.
introducing me to Bhakti Sangha also. You are the one who inspired me to come here. Thank you.
Course,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mata.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Shri Prabhupada. This is Preeti Lasmi Devidasi from Atlanta. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Mata. Please keep joining. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all our Guru Maharajas. Thank you so much for your association, Maharaj. So without, we'll go ahead and proceed to our next session, which is Srimad Bhagavatam class. Maharaj, whenever you're ready, you can take over the call. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, I think you're muted.
Hear you.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hiranyakashipu Uvacha. Varadanuchatam Tata. Swaditam Kinchim Uttamam. Kalenaitavata Yusman. Yad Asid Sat Guru Bhavan. Hiranyakashipu said, "My dear Prahlad, my dear son, O long-lived one, for so much time you have heard many things from your teacher. Now please repeat to me whatever you think is the best of that knowledge." Srila Prabhupada's purport. In this verse, Hiranyakashipu inquires from his son what he had learned from his guru. Prahlad Maharaj's gurus were of two kinds, Sanda and Amarka, the sons of Sukaracharya. In the seminal succession were the gurus appointed by his father. But his other guru was the exalted Narada Muni, who had instructed Prahlad when Prahlad was within the womb of his mother. Prahlad Maharaj responded to the inquiry of his father with the instructions he had received from his spiritual master, Narada. Thus there was again a difference of opinion between Prahlad Maharaj wanted to relate the best thing he had learned from his spiritual master, whereas Hiranyakashipu expected to hear about the politics and diplomacy Prahlad had learned from Sanda and Amarka. Now the dissension between the father and son became increasingly intense as Prahlad Maharaj began to say what he had learned from his guru, Narada Muni. Keep going down the page. I can't see. Okay. Gyan kimidandasya jana salakaya chaksun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha namo Vishnu padaya Krishna prasthaya bhutale Srimakte Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Vastyatya De Satarine Vanchakopantarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Shri Krishna, Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So continuing the theme of Hiranyakashipu wanting to instruct his son, and he had made the arrangements for the boy to enter into, we can't call it Gurukula, we call it Asurakula, a place where he learns not about spiritual topics, but about hardcore materialistic adventures and how to understand those things and become successful in a materialistic way. Prahlad Maharaj was obedient to his father, although his father was a typical materialist, whereas Prahlad was enlightened in spiritual knowledge, as it's mentioned here, from his spiritual master, the best of all the demigods, Sri Narada Muni. But he followed his father by going to school and acting as a good boy. But at the same time, and you will read in the future how he didn't follow his teachers and took the opportunity to preach Krishna consciousness to his schoolmates, which became a great chagrin for his father, who became quite angry. And that'll be unfolded later. But here, what we see is that the father is supposed to lead the son in the proper way. It says in the scriptures, in Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 5th chapter, it mentions that one should not become father, one should not become mother, one should not become guru, one should not become a teacher if they cannot direct their students, their children, their disciples towards the actual goal of life. And the goal of life is clearly explained by Krishna in both the Bhagavad Gita and by the pure devotees representing Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam. What is that goal of life? Is to inquire into that goal of life, which is the nature of the soul's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the actual understanding. So this verse from the 5th canto, 5th chapter, spoken by the Supreme Lord himself, Sri Rishabdev, who is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, he explains. Now here we have the opposite. The father is leading the son away from the goal of life and towards a whole materialistic program of power, control, development of materialistic amenities. Hiranyakashipu, we classify him as a demon, and he is, because he usurped the demigod's position. He put himself as the supreme power within existence. No one could defeat him. He had a strong military behind him, and he was always conquering and exploiting and occupying. That was his program. So we might say his program was very selfish and in line with the qualities, as Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, of those who are of the nature of demons. But fortunately, although he is a demon, he had a son that was quite the opposite. His son actually was a great soul who somehow or other came into his family by some unknown fortune of Hiranyakashipu. But Hiranyakashipu is seeing his son in a different way, not as his good fortune, but as someone who is going against what he feels is best for himself and for Prahlad. And you'll see the next verse, which is actually 2 verses, Prahlad responds to this by listing the 9 processes of devotional service. It's one of the longest discussions on the whole process of devotional service in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The purport takes up from 9 to 11 pages, describing very detailed by Srila Prabhupada what are the 9 processes and what is the ingredients that make up the execution of these 9 processes. The Prahlad Maharaj, he's not afraid to speak the truth. And this is a very important part of this whole discussion. Being intimidated by his father, he's not. He wants to enlighten his father in what is the actual reality of life, devotion to the Supreme Lord. And he is not worried about how his father will react because he wants to give him the best. It's interesting. Prahlad Maharaj loves his father as a father, but at the same time, he disagrees with his father because he knows his father is simply, as Prahlad Maharaj meant, the best. He called him a Surya Bhajya, which means he is the best of the demons. And so Prahlad Maharaj was very respectful to his father, but he didn't compromise the truth in order to put this kind of respect foremost. He kept the respect in relationship to his position as a son, but at the same time, he spoke what is the truth. And to speak the truth, especially nowadays, is very unpalatable because we find that there are Hiranyakashipus out there. There are, of course, but there are people who don't want the absolute truth. They want a mixture of something material along with something spiritual. But Prahlad Maharaj is not going to patronize or compromise the truth in the name of just making friends and being popular. He is going to speak the truth, and therefore he is called a Mahajan. Mahajano Yena Kastasapanta. He is qualified to teach the eternal religious principles to the whole world. He's only a 5-year-old boy, but he's highly learned in all of the philosophical teachings that make up pure devotional service. And therefore, he can't compromise because he is self-realized at the same time. He knows what is right. He's experiencing it. He's in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his heart through devotional service. He loves his father, but at the same time, he cannot go along with something that is untruth. Sometimes in our ways of dealing with others, we somehow rather compromise what we believe is right in order to keep some kind of relationship based on something less than the actual truth. And of course, relationships are important, but speaking the truth is more important because those relationships that are based on the principles of truth are lasting and beneficial for everyone involved. So therefore, one should speak the truth in a palatable way, satyam priyam, satyam bruyam, not compromising the truth, but presenting it in a way that is pleasing to the person one is speaking to. And that is the important part, that it is done not to agitate, but to enlighten. And therefore, combining both of those principles, one becomes an ideal representative of the Supreme Personality of God by speaking what is actually, just like us in the Krishna conscious movement, where do we get our knowledge from? Not from secular society, not from the news media, not from the New Age movement, but we get it from Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is in the line of disciplic succession, and he's getting his knowledge from his spiritual master. Today, we are fortunate to have the opportunity to celebrate Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, 150th anniversary of his appearance in the world today, the 29th of February. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was a person who never compromised, who never patronized, who spoke the truth even where people did not like it. Well, whether people like it or not is secondary, because the truth is beneficial for everyone. It's not limited to a person or a class of people or a certain culture or a certain historical time period. It is always the truth. And what is that truth? That all living entities are, as Krishna says, my parts and parcels. Mamaivam so jivaloke, jiva bhuta sanatana, mastastani indriyani, prakriti stani karshiti. Krishna mentions that in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that all living entities in this material world are my parts and parcel. And he also, and Lord Chaitanya emphasizes Jiver Surupai Krishnera Nityadas, that we all have a eternal relationship with service to the Supreme Lord based on the principle of bhakti. Bhakti means to acquiesce or to open that relationship through the process of service in a mood to please the Supreme Lord. In other words, how do we please the Supreme Lord? We follow the instructions of his representatives. Now, his representatives are his ambassadors in the material world to represent the Lord and teach the conditioned souls how to approach the Supreme Lord and how to please the Supreme Lord through service to the Supreme Lord. So devotees very carefully understand the teachings given by Srila Prabhupada and by their spiritual master and apply that and speak that. Some people will like it. Some people may take issue with it. Those who are hardcore materialists will not. They will find exceptions with it and will say that there is more to life than just worshiping the Supreme Lord. No, there is not, actually, because when you worship the Supreme Lord, everything in life is included within that process of devotion to the Supreme Lord, because it's not exclusive. Worship of the Supreme Lord is the culture of human life that includes everything that the living entity needs to live and at the same time make progress in spiritual life. So therefore, Prahlad Maharaj is simply going to speak about what he learned from his spiritual master. That's all. Not what he learned from his teachers, which Hiranyakashipu has personally appointed, like that. So yeah, so in this situation, we are in a similar situation as Prahlad Maharaj. We are surrounded by people who want to hear something different than what is the absolute truth, because they think it's too fanatical, it's too difficult, it's not practical, it's out of historical context, whatever. It doesn't facilitate good material success in life. But Prahlad Maharaj understands that simply by worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as it says, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chichete Korea Aikya Anar Kamino Mani As. This is spoken by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. He says, the words of my spiritual master are my life. They're my nourishment. They're my food. They're everything I need to become fully successful in all aspects of life, because they cover actually the goal of life, and everything is included in that. So here we see now we can't put ourselves in the same position as Prahlad Maharaj, but Prahlad Maharaj is being harassed, and you'll see, and threatened, and then ultimately attempts to destroy him by his own father, because he's speaking something different than what his father wants him to hear. So this is the way of life. If our superiors, in whatever position they are contrary to what is the actual purpose of life, then those superiors actually must be rejected, because they are leading us in the wrong way. And Prahlad Maharaj would rather be subjected to harassment and whatever else that his father is going to give than to compromise the truth. Therefore, because if one lives by the truth, they actually live. If they live by something other than the truth, they might find themselves without any threat from the materialistic society, but at the same time, they're never happy, because they're living something, they're living a lie, or they're living some compromised consciousness based on other people's desire for their way of life. But Prahlad Maharaj is not like that. He heard directly from his spiritual master while he was in the womb of his mother. He was able to retain everything he heard. His mother was taken by Narada Muni to his ashram in order to protect the mother at the time when Prahlad Maharaj was in the womb, because the demigods had thought that Prahlad Maharaj's mother was going to give birth to a demon. And therefore they were about to wait for the boy to emerge and then kill him. The demigods were going to do that. Hiranyakashipu had left. He had gone for greater forms of austerity, and he left the family. But Narada Muni, being Trikala Gyan, knows past, present, and future, he came and he intervened and said, no, this woman is carrying a pure devotee. The demigods accepted what Narada said, and then he protected her. And during that protection, he spoke to her too, also transcendental knowledge. But Prahlad was in the womb, and he was able to hear everything that Narada instructed. And when he came out, he was already self-realized. This is amazing. This is also, just to deviate a little bit from the side of the topic, there's those who are women who carry children that as devotees, you want to give the best start on your child in life towards the goal of life, Krishna consciousness. Therefore, it is mentioned, highly recommended, that the pregnant lady surround herself with transcendental sound vibration. And therefore, the child picking up on the mother's vibration will also become benefited from that sound vibration, whether it's kirtan, or eating, or various types of spiritual sound vibrations that are beneficial. Then that child will come out and have a nice start in life towards the goal of life. Yeah, so that was Prahlad Maharaj. And so one who is fully Krishna conscious cannot compromise just for the sake to patronize others, because they understand, how can I not speak the truth when the truth is not only the truth, but it's beneficial for everyone, even my father. Prahlad was thinking, if I could make my father a devotee, if he could understand the truth of life, then this would make, he would actually be happy. He could see his father was not happy. He could see his father, although he was very powerful and he had conquered practically the whole universe, still he wasn't happy. And that's an indication that material life, even in the best possible way, with all power, facilities, and all of the riches that come with it, cannot fulfill the need of the soul. And his father was, although he had all of these things, and no one could oppose him. In fact, he would cause fear in the rest of the universe simply by thinking about doing more plans for conquering. Still, he was never happy. And Prahlad Maharaj knew that if I can give him the truth, then he will be benefited and ultimately he will become a devotee of the Lord. So he wasn't worried about his own future, Prahlad. Prahlad knew that whatever happens is Krishna's arrangement. Therefore, if I'm getting any difficulties, I simply pray to Krishna and ask for Krishna's mercy. And that's what he did. So we're just getting on what we say, the threshold of this wonderful pastime now, where it opens up into a nice discussion between Prahlad and his father. And this is the very beginning right here. And so the essence of this particular thing is that he wanted to give his father the truth rather than to simply compromise to make his father feel like he was okay. But he was, my dear father, you're not okay. And this is the reason why. Okay, so we can stop there and can open it up for questions.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for the wonderful stories. Thank you for sharing. It's so important for all women, not only women, even pregnant mothers, especially to hear those sound, to get the sound vibration to give the embryo a good start in life already. Maharaj, I do see there are certain questions in the chat box. So Vrasadha Prabhuji is asking, Hare Krishna, Maharaj, what was the two aspects of speaking Maharaj said? Is it speaking truth and in a pleasing way? Interesting question. So he's asking, do we just blurt out the truth or do we need to speak it in a pleasing way? I mean,
it's called Satyam Priyam, Satyam Bruyam. Pleasing and beneficial, and beneficial, because people will listen more to what is said if it's said in a way that is pleasing. Without the point is, there's an art to that. One has to not compromise the essence of what is one saying in order to put forth the idea of pleasing. Pleasing means that there is a respect given to the recipient and in such a way as to speak to them the truth, but in such a way that they'll be able to accept or at least listen to the truth. That's not across the board, though. There are some persons, no matter what you do or how you say, will always be contrary and what we say, what's the word? Contentious. So, I mean, if you try to speak some truth to the atheist obviously will always either run away or try to speak about their philosophy of godlessness. So, but in essence, this is how we try to present it for a general audience.
yes, thank you, Maharaj. It's always a good idea not to blurt out right away, but to take the situation, pros and cons into consideration while saying the truth thing. Yes, we can try. Devotees should you
the point is not not to compromise in the name of being pleasing. That's the point, has to be there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what Prabhuji also wrote on the chat. Devotees, please feel free to unmute yourself, raise your hand, pose your questions on the chat box. Maharaj is here to answer all your queries. Maharaj, one quick
I think
question.
Darshini,
Sorry, go ahead, Mataji.
sorry, I just saw Darshini Mataji raising her hand. I'm not sure if you were able to see Mataji.
Yes, Darshini Mataji.
Darshini Mataji, please go ahead, Mata.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna Maharaj, Tanvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, I had this question that, we see that Narada Muni spoke Krishna Katha to Kayadu, and because Prahalad Maharaj was in the womb, Prahalad Maharaj absorbed all the instructions. But when it comes to Kayadu, who had, direct Shravanam from Narada Muni, but Kayadu's heart wasn't changed. She was still attached to Hiranyakashipu. So many times we see that, devotees along with us who are there, they are so, they're so receptive to the message that's been given. It's the same classes, the same resources, and they make rapid advancement. But we have not been receptive. Our heart has not been receptive. So what is the thing that we have to do to see to it that our heart and mind is receptive to whatever we are listening, and we can make advancement and just not leave it? How can we absorb all that we are hearing rather than just hearing and leaving it?
Well, there is a protocol that is described in the Padma Purana for receptivity of transcendental knowledge. The protocol is, one, faith in the speaker. Yeah. In other words, you have to understand that that speaker is speaking what is the truth, at least from that, in a theoretical way anyway, that this person is qualified to speak. There are people who are not qualified to speak, but speak anyway. But speaking means to represent those who come before in disciplic succession. So in other words, faith in the speaker, that's the first qualification for the hearer. Second is not to filter what they say through our own interpretations. In other words, to be open to hear carefully what is being said without the filtering process of trying to compare it to something that you might have heard in the past from someone else. In other words, there is the challenging attitude in the process of hearing, and that will block the receptivity, and you'll miss actually the essence of what's being said. So the first part is faith in the speaker. The second one is humility. The third is destroying the faults of the mind. So when we speak sometimes, or when someone speaks, the mind goes somewhere else. It travels to some other subject matter. It travels to whatever, it travels in many different places. What we want to do, what we thought we should have did. In other words, we lose contact with, we hear the words, but our minds are somewhere else. So that's called destroying the faults of the mind. So bring the mind back to the sound vibration. And one has to be very diligent to keep that mind connected to the sound so they can pick up the essence of what's being said. Now, the results of following those first three is the fourth one. Based on that, two things must occur. In other words, if you're following the first three, you'll get one of these two results. One, you'll get realization of what's being said. You'll understand it, you'll accept it, and you'll benefit from it, at least in your consciousness. The second thing is questions. If you don't get a clear understanding for whatever reason, although you've been listening, or certain things are beyond your ability to understand, or something appears to be one way, but you might understand it in another way, and so you ask questions. So if we don't get either questions or realization, that means we weren't really attentive to the subject matter for whatever reason.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Yeah, so this is a discussion. Follow that principle of accepting who you hear from as an authority. Don't take anyone unless they are in a position of authority. Just like if we hear from the politicians, we can understand that they have their own agendas and they're not always speaking for the benefit of people in general. But when you hear from devotees, you understand that they are representing their spiritual master, they are representing the parampara, they're speaking based on scripture, they're speaking based on their own realizations in the process of devotional service. And try not to speak here in a challenging mood. Bring the mind back when the mind wanders to the sound vibration, carefully listen. And then you'll get knowledge. And if you don't get knowledge, at least your intellect will be stimulated through the process of hearing, where you'll ask questions. This is the process of hearing. If we don't understand something, ask the question. We should not leave with doubts after hearing. We should be clear after what has been said, and that clarification comes by realization or through the process of questions and answers.
Thank you.
That's from the Padma Purana. It describes the whole process of how to hear properly.
Maharaj.
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful to you for this answer. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji, for the wonderful question. And thank you, Maharaj, for your brilliant answer. Maharaj, piggybacking on that question, as Mataji is asking, how to clear the consciousness, because to become more receptive or to get more mercy of the Lord. So when we hear from devotees or from other Maharajas, I have one question, Maharaj. I'm slightly perplexed. So devotees will say, Krishna, worshipping Lord Krishna, the Lord Supreme, is not easy. You have to do it like in very, very procedure. So it's better to go via, of course, your Guru Maharaj, then you go to Gauranga, Gaurnitai, etc. It's more easy to please. However, in the other we hear that Lord Krishna is so merciful. He's so personable. He's so relatable. Go ahead, talk to your Paramatma. Go ahead and try to realize it more. What is more easier way for you, Maharaj?
Well, the question is obvious. That what is Paramatma anyway? Paramatma is the spiritual master. The spiritual master comes in two forms. Indwelling, he's Paramatma. Externally, he's the spiritual master. It's the same person. Therefore, it says that the spiritual master is the external manifestation of Paramatma. So are we so advanced that we can hear directly from Paramatma in the heart? When we may still have material desires, and those material desires are also speaking to us to get some attention, some fulfillment. So the process is, tadvidi pratipatena paripasyena sevaya, to approach the spiritual master, inquire in a humble way, and be ready to offer service if that's required. So this makes everything really easy. If we think we're so qualified, we can go directly to Super Soul, but it says that Only when the mind is fully controlled can one hear Supersoul. And Supersoul is saying the same thing as the spiritual master is saying the same thing as Supersoul. There's no difference. When you become fully, at least self-realized to a certain degree, then you can come to the level of hearing directly from Supersoul. We can't jump up to that stage of bhakti. The best is to continually hear from the spiritual master. Even those who are advanced, still always are eager to hear from their spiritual master.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet, Maharaj. Seeking your blessings to understand things more clearly. Seeking your blessings to clear the consciousness, Maharaj. Thank you. We have question from Dr. Kripagavalli. If you could kindly, Mataji. Yes.
Thank you, Mataji, for allowing me to answer the Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Sure, Mataji, go ahead with your question, please.
Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances to Maharaj. And I have one doubt and this thing. So, why this Prahlad Maharaj is a very small, and he was so devoted to Lord Vishnu. From his womb, he was very devoted because he was received that blessing from Narada Muni. And now I'm having the little doubt whether why he was born in that family. Because he could have born in another ritual, this thing in Devakram. Why he was born a small boy? Why he has to suffer like that? The devotee has to suffer like that, and then Lord is coming in the end. I want to just that poor boy is suffering so much from the trying to make his father devotee, mother, and but everything he's suffering from the hill there he's putting down. Then also he's having that faith. But by his story is teaching us to become more faith. From my childhood, I saw this. I studied this Prahlada story only. I became a devotee. First of all, my small age itself, I was become a devotee for Narasimha, and then only my little this thing has developed, Mataji. I want to clarify, and then previous birth of this Prahlad Maharaj, he was something he was done, and he was born like this, or why he was born to that such a demonic Hiranyakashipu. Thank you. That's my question.
Well, a pure devotee is not anywhere fearful of anything because they are simply to have the shelter of the Supreme Lord. So although it appears he went through a lot of difficulties, he was put in that position by the Lord to preach to his father and to somehow or other, and of course, if you follow the whole pastime to the conclusion, you'll find that his father got liberation at the end because he was killed directly by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is a very difficult situation to achieve. Even to be killed by the Supreme Lord directly, one automatically becomes free from all material desires and actually attains liberation, which he did. So that was a mercy, that was mercy upon Hiranyakashipu, that this pure devotee son came into his family. Hiranyakashipu had 5 sons. The other 4 were demons, and Prahlad was the exception. So Prahlad was there to do the mission of the Lord by liberating his father, because his father actually was a fallen demigod who fell from the spiritual world. And that's the whole story of the 3 births of Jai and Vijay, which is mentioned in the third canto. They each had to take 3 births as demons, and Hiranyakashipu was the first birth of the 3 births. The second birth he became Ravana, and the third birth he became Shishupal. And all time they were killed 3 times, and then ultimately they went back to the spiritual world. So this is all the Lord's plan, to elevate Jai and Vijay back to their position in the spiritual world. And for a pure devotee, they accept difficulties as an opportunity to serve the Lord. For us, it may seem from our perspective that it's very difficult and unfair. But for the pure devotee, they're very happy to act on behalf of the Lord to save the conditioned souls, even if they have to undergo a lot of difficulty on a personal level. You'll see the example of Srila Prabhupada, how much difficulty he had to do to start this movement and to keep it going. You study the life of Prabhupada, it was very difficult, practically impossible, especially at the age of 70. But Prabhupada did it with the desire to please his spiritual master and to propagate Krishna consciousness. So for a pure devotee, they accept suffering as, and there's a verse, you can find it in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that the highest form of worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this is the way the verse says, the highest form of worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to accept suffering on behalf of the Lord in order to spread the mercy of the Lord. That's the highest form of service to the Supreme Lord. But Prahlad Maharaj was on that level.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Tadatram. Koti Tandatna. Understood, Prabhuji.
You want the verse reference is the 8th canto, 7th chapter, verse number 44. 8:744 describes that the great souls accept suffering, and that is the highest form of worship of the Supreme
Worship.
Lord.
Worship.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji, for the great question. So, Maharaj, just a quick question out of curiosity. So, is this a Leela that in every yuga it's going to keep happening? The Leela of Prahlad Maharaj, Narsimha Dev, it keeps happening, right, Maharaj?
The Lord's activities are Nitya Leela.
Nitya Leela, yes.
Yeah. But then again, you have to see whether that applies to all the incarnations of the Lord or just to Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That I'm not sure of. That I'm not sure. But I think in this case, this is Nitya Leela also.
Thank you. Manjari Mataji, would you like to go ahead with your question, Mata?
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Neena Mataji, for allowing me to ask this question. And Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Maharaj, such a wonderful class, very short and sweet and powerful. One thing I wanted to ask you about this is, in Bhagavad Gita, we and I think you also touched upon this point in the beginning of your discussion or lecture, that the truth has to be pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating. So I understand that, sometimes the two can be there. So Prahlad Maharaj, my question was, how come Prahlad Maharaj is still telling the truth to Hiranyakashipu? I know, it could be the truth and it is beneficial for Hiranyakashipu, as you said, but it is still agitating his father. And then you answered the question just in your previous answer, that because Prahlad Maharaj was following the highest form of worship, which is to accept the suffering, to spread the mercy. But in general life, in our mundane life that we have, right? Or in the devotee's life even, how does, sometimes we try to speak the truth and we know it is beneficial, we speak in a pleasing way, but it still gets agitated. The other person still may get agitated because it doesn't fit with their thought process.
So in this case, you know, and they keep on speaking the same kinds of, I guess, you know, same kind of things to us, and we keep on providing them the same kinds of advice, but at the same time, it doesn't, I guess, you know, they know this is the right advice, but it doesn't really, they can't follow it. So in this case, and it still agitates them. So I'm trying to understand, you know, I heard that we should just pray for those kinds of souls then at some point. So how do we understand that? Should we accept the suffering? I mean, we're not great souls, but should we accept the suffering and still keep on, you know, preaching to this person or advising to this person, even if it's getting them agitated? Or should we just pray for this person? I'm really confused. I'm sorry. Is that clear, Maharaj? I don't know if I'm making sense.
It's a question that's quite often asked. And the thing is, when it becomes clear that the person doesn't want it, then why force it? You know, because all you're going to do is push them away farther. Or another way is to look for another way to give the same thing in a way that may be more, just like sometimes we say, well, you know, take prasadam. So everyone can accept the fact that, all right, I'm going to take some nice foodstuffs that are tasty. But it's prasadam, it's spiritual. It's not something that is just cooked out of sense gratification. It's been offered to the Lord. So this is one means of preaching, is to distribute and to encourage people to eat Krishna prasadam. So they get some spiritual benefit. And if they do that in a long-term way, then they become more inclined, and I use the word with emphasis, inclined to spiritual topics. It changes their heart. So the direct way is to give the philosophy or to invite them to a temple. Less direct way is just to preaching is not always one way. If you go one way, it's just like sometimes you're slamming into a wall and the wall's not going to break. So maybe you should go and open the door and get on the other side of the wall instead of trying to break the wall down. So there's different ways to preach. And depending on the audience, and this is where you have to fit in and see what would be the most viable way that you could reach that audience. So that's an art that one has to practice. And sometimes it comes by what we call it trial and error. You learn what not to do. You learn what to do by preaching in different situations. Well, when it comes to family members, I think your particular question was geared to family members. Then it becomes more difficult because they don't want to hear from their family members about what they should be doing, especially if they're in a position of authority for whatever reason. So pray for them, that's one way. Offer prasadam, that's another way. Invite them to a spiritual festival where they can meet other people and get some friendship from that, some experience of in that type of atmosphere. So if you're working on a particular set of people in long term, yeah, when you're doing it one-to-one, like just giving a class and moving on, then you can speak directly.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
Nina, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Thank you, Mataji. And I was just thanking Mataji for asking this question, because I think you asked for all of us. A lot of us had the same question, Mata. So thank you, Leela Mataji. I have a hand raised from ST. I'm so sorry. If you could kindly announce your name and ask your question, please. Okay.
Hi, myself Supriya.
Okay, Supriya.
Pranam Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Since we are talking about this Leelas that Lord plays, I have a question regarding a Kalki avatar that Lord is about to take in Kali Yuga, and especially to vanquish all those miscreants that are left behind. But my question is, why Lord wants to wait so long? Why not we see the problem now itself, since we are just a 5,000 years in Kali Yuga? We see so many problems around. Why not just why I mean generally our tendency is to solve the problem when it is small instead of waiting for it to become big. So why Lord wants to wait till the end of a Kali Yuga and then kill all those people? Because anyway at the end of a Kali Yuga there will be annihilation, and everything will be recreated again. So at least from my, I don't see any point in having Kalki avatar. So can you just tell us what is the reason why Lord wants to?
Well, whatever the Lord does is perfect. So because he's the Supreme Lord, he's perfect. And therefore he follows a certain timetable. But you should understand one thing, that the Lord has already appeared in this age as his holy name, Kali Kale Namarupa Krishna Avatar. So he is actually destroying the demoniac mentality through the process of Harinam Sankirtan. Many people are benefiting by that and becoming great devotees. So he's also appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is the incarnation, which is also Krishna. He's also come as Lord Jagannath in another form as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the Lord comes, he's already here in at least 2 or 3 different forms to help purify the world. Kalki Avatar means when there is no more, when people are no longer able to accept anything, then he comes to finish off the demons that are left at that particular time. That's his mission.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maharaj. I have a very interesting question on the chat. It says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, can one cook prasadam and after offering, give it to the other person without telling them that it is prasadam?
Yeah, we do that sometimes.
We do that.
We do that sometimes because we know people may be averse to some kind of spiritual food. So, and this is called a Gyata Sukriti. Gyata Sukriti means unknowingly doing devotional service.
Thank you, Maharaj.
That's fine. And the doctor says, my dear patient, this medicine tastes very good and is beneficial. It may not taste good, but he says it tastes good anyway, so you take it.
Wonderful. I have a question from Radha Jyoti Mataji, and she's saying, Hare Krishna, dear respected His Holiness Maharaj, I'm indebted to you for your teachings. You told us to keep going on tough days, pick yourself and keep going. Even if you're not able to, it doesn't matter, but keep going and focus on the service. Chant and chant and chant loud. This helped me and it inspired me. I wanted to share this with you. Please bless me to serve more in devotion, but selflessly. So she's just sharing her thought. And there's one from Mataji, His Holiness. Could you please teach on difference between realizations and reflections? How do we understand this?
Realizations are the soul awakening to spiritual knowledge. Reflections is just the mind thinking about various topics. That's all. There's a difference. Realizations come from the soul into the mind, The reflections are just the activities of the mind, scanning the network of different thought processes or different topics.
But Mataji, Maharaj, isn't it easy to get confused? Because I don't know which one is talking. Is it Maya or is it really the soul?
Well, check it with the words of the spiritual master, check it with the words of scripture. These are our checkpoints. If it's there, then you can understand based on what the scriptures say what it is, whether it's Maya or Krishna. The mind will dictate so many things. But we have to see, is it in line with Guru? Is it in line with Shastra? Is it in line with the great saints that have gone in the past? If it does, then it is Krishna. If it's not, it may be just the workings of the material energy, that's all.
So it's the power of discrimination also, Maharaj, maybe moment to moment. If we don't have spiritual master to confer every little thing, for example. So it's the sense of discrimination that we can use, probably.
We discriminate every day. We live in this world based on discrimination. We accept things and we accept certain things and we don't accept other things. If we have no discrimination, then we will not be able to even live in this world.
Thank you, Maharaj. I think you just answered Hemi Mataji's question. She was asking, Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam, it's not always easy to find someone to ask the questions or guidance to questions. What would be best method to find directions in those circumstances?
Well, I don't know if I agree with that premise. I think it's very easy to find people to ask. So many spiritual masters out there. There's so many books. There's so many people who are practicing spiritual life. You just have to, the hard part is going to the right one, or the one that you think it will give you the answer you need. But we have so much authority. Prabhupada established such a worldwide movement that there is knowledge available all over the world.
Thank you, Maharaj. Devotees, go ahead, switch on your cameras, take blessings from His Holiness, ask your questions. He's still here.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you, Maharaj. Thank you so much for the wonderful class, Maharaj. Today is the disappearance day of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So would you like to... Appearance day. Yeah. Would you like to speak few words about him? Yeah.
Yeah, we are here in Mayapur, and there was a great festival today, and even tonight there's another part 2 of that festival. Yeah, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was a person who was empowered by Krishna to come to the material world and do this work. In his biography, it is described that he was a ray of Vishnu. He came. We understand that his father, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, who was also a great personality, prayed for some person to come who was a part of the Lord's personal entourage to help him bring about Lord Chaitanya's movement, which was pretty much in turmoil at that time. And the answer of his prayer was his own son, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. And his appearance in the world indicated all of the characteristics of a great soul. He wasn't born by karma. He was actually delivered into this world by the Lord to do this mission of spreading Krishna consciousness. He's the link between our spiritual master and the previous acharyas also. Because everything we learn from Srila Prabhupada is coming from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's preaching was a little bit different than Srila Prabhupada's preaching in that he was preaching to aristocratic people. He was preaching to people in high positions, people who were learned scholars. His language was dictionary language. Even those who understood English could not understand what he was saying because he used such terminology that was not what we say, the parlance of the time. Even today, we heard that even when he spoke in native Bengali, even those who understood Bengali couldn't understand what he was saying. Therefore, he had that vision of reaching the educated class of people, those who are highly learned, those who are in powerful positions. But he also spoke basic knowledge in general about Lord Chaitanya's movement and how Lord Chaitanya is the incarnation in this age to spread the glories of the Sankirtan movement, which is the Yuga Dharma in this age. So he was lion guru. He would not compromise. I mean, many times he was threatened physically if he didn't tone down his preaching and make it more, palatable for everyone, but he wasn't in that mood. Many times there were many attempts in his life, but he continued to preach. He was uncompromising. Srila Prabhupada was uncompromising, but Prabhupada used different language in order to reach the Western mind, because if Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was preaching to Western people, they wouldn't be able to handle it. There was one professor, Professor Southers, you can read it in the life of Bhaktisiddhanta, who came from Ohio State University to meet Bhaktisiddhanta. And Bhaktisiddhanta, he asked him many questions, and the answers he gave him was such dictionary language that he used in the answers that Professor Southers was astounded. He didn't even understand it, but later on, he studied the answers and started to break through the understanding. And Bhaktisiddhanta did that in order to show that Vaishnavas are highly learned people. They're not just sentimentalists who sing and dance and, eat food. They are the greatest scholars in the world. So he wanted to give authority and at the same time enlighten the educated class of people. So he had a particular mission. And it was him that actually inspired going around the world and preaching Krishna consciousness. He took Bhakti Vinod Thakur's vision of, every town and village, which was spoken by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who said that in every town and village, my message, my practice will be practiced there. And so Bhaktisiddhanta was sending his representatives, his followers, to different countries in order to preach to the Western. They went to London, they went to France, they went to Germany, they went to some of the Asian countries. And then Srila Prabhupada was the one that came all the way to the West, to America. So that was Bhaktisiddhanta's service to Lord Chaitanya, is to spread Krishna consciousness around the world. you could read his life. There's a 3-volume set by Bhakti Vikas Swami, very, very detailed. Took him 22 years to do these 3 volumes. Quite detailed life of Bhakti Siddhanta, the inner workings of the Gaudiya Math, their preaching, many of the episodes that Bhakti Siddhanta has faced in his preaching. It's a wonderful read. It's quite voluminous, but it's interesting. If you really want to, it's called Life of Bhakti Siddhanta. If you really are interested in learning about this great personality, which I think we should all be, because what Srila Prabhupada has given us is really what he heard from his spiritual master. That's good. We should study the life of Bhakti Siddhanta. It's an eye-opener in spiritual knowledge and what is actually a great personality.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
So much. Thank you so much for sharing about Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It's a divine appearance day. Any last minute questions? I can see Maharaj is getting tired.
Maybe. We are not sure if he's tired or not.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
I have something from Radha Jyoti Mataji. She's saying, okay, the price of the book, very nice. Thank you for sharing. It is 2,200 rupees. It's in INR if you want to purchase that. And please announce Mataji, it will be service to Guru Maharaj. How wonderful. Thank you, Mataji, for sharing. I don't know if this book is available on Amazon. Probably not.
Most likely it is.
Most likely.
3 volumes. It's not just one book.
3 volumes, yes. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Any other questions from anybody? Otherwise, we can end the call.
The name of the book, Mataji. Name of the book. Name of the book.
Namo Namah.
Namo Namah.
Thank you very much.
Maharaj.
Jai.